Ahoy fellow bookworms, my name is Caroline and I like to read books, so today I'm going to be reviewing The Female of the Species by Mindy McGinnis. I feel like I have a lot to say about this book, so we are just going to jump straight in. As always, we'll start with a quick plot summary. This book follows our three main characters who are in high school and have all either been affected by or contributed to rape culture. The first character is the one that everyone's probably heard about when they've heard about this book, and that's Alex. A few years before this story begins, Alex's older sister was raped and murdered, and the guy who did it was never convicted because there wasn't enough physical evidence to put him away, so we have Alex who takes it upon herself to kill him as an act of revenge. The second character is Jack, who is kind of like your perfect high school student jock. He's got good grades, good relationships with teachers, he's good at sports, he's got a good group of friends, but him and his guy friends do kind of engage in a bit of locker room talk, and it's very normalized among them, but throughout the story he really grows as a character. Our third main character is PK, who is the preacher's daughter and is kind of reeling in the aftermath of quite a bad breakup. Throughout the story, PK does engage in quite a bit of slut shaming because her ex-boyfriend has this new girlfriend who is like the pretty blonde girl who loves sex, is really flirty and stuff like that, and so PK really fixates on her hatred of this girl. The Female of the Species is a very character-driven story, but the plot does kind of take off when our three main characters are at a party together and something happens that kind of sets all these things in motion, and that's all I'm gonna say about the plot. I'm going to do something a little different with this review, and I'm going to mention cons first because there's only one con that I want to talk about, and I just want to like get it out of the way so that I can spend the rest of this video just singing this book's praises. The only con I could come up with for this entire book is only something small, but it's probably what stopped it from being a 5-star read for me. I feel like this book got to a certain point and then it was very heavily focused on the romantic relationship between two characters, and although it was a really nice relationship that was well developed and really respectful and all that sort of stuff, I just wasn't a huge fan of that being the center of the story for a while. On to the pros now, the first one being the super important subject matter of this book. Like I mentioned before, this book deals with rape culture, and what I think is really amazing is that it doesn't just focus on that umbrella term, it kind of deals with all the different facets. We have a female character who is constantly slut-shaming another female character. We have an epic smackdown of the boys will be boys ideology and the whole locker room talk bullshit. We get to see the aftermath of sexual assault in this really raw and honest and powerful way, and I just think that all that together is so important. This is definitely a confronting book, and I think a lot of people would have difficulty reading it, but I would highly recommend this just for the subject matter because I think it's something a lot of people should read. The second pro that I'm going to mention is the characters, because I just think they were all amazing. We have our three main characters who were just excellent. They were well written and well developed and were flawed in ways that felt incredibly human. We also have this really great cast of side characters who are woven into the story in really interesting ways that help our main characters to develop a lot throughout the story. I just loved that all the interactions and relationships between the characters felt very real. I do think the most amazing thing about the characters in this book though is how much I came to care for Alex at the end of the story. We know from the start of the story that she's a killer, but for some reason I still completely fell in love with her. She works at an animal shelter and is incredibly caring. She also comes out of her shell throughout the story, and I just completely adored her, which is bizarre, but it's the mark of a great character that I ended up loving a killer in this story. Like, how well written is that? And the final pro I'm going to mention is the ending. Now, don't worry, I'm not going to spoil it or anything. I just wanted to mention how perfectly I think it fit the rest of the book. For a lot of the time while I was reading this book, I was really anxious because I didn't know how the story was going to wrap up. I couldn't foresee an ending that would leave me satisfied, and I'll admit that when I first finished this book, I was incredibly unhappy with the ending. Like, yeah, I cried because it was incredibly emotional, but I also found myself to be incredibly salty. Once I calmed down and thought about it a bit though, I realized that this is the only ending that made sense for the book, and yeah, it's a bit of a punch in the guts, but it's completely perfect for the story, and I think that just makes it even more of an amazing book. That brings us to the end of this review. I would probably give this book like a 4 or 4.5 star rating and cannot recommend it highly enough. If you've also read this book, be sure to let me know what you thought of it down in the comments. I upload videos Wednesdays, Saturdays, and sometimes Mondays as well, so be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned on those days for more bookish goodness. Toodaloo!